So hello gamers and welcome back to another video. So a lot of people are always asking me what the best sight to use on their gun is. So today I'm going to be showing you the best sights in Phantom Forces, and we're going to go through them by iron sights, red dots, scopes, and special sights. So first off, we have the iron sights. Now the iron sights is a class of sights that I really don't recommend a ton from. However, there are some actually really good ones, and the three that I mainly recommend are first off the IWI sight, which is basically the TAR-21 irons on any gun that you want, which is really cool. If you didn't know, the TAR-21 has some of my and a lot of people's opinion best iron sights in the game. I think they're really good. They are probably better on an auto versus a burst because, you know, accuracy is really important on a burst. Probably going to want to go for, you know, your average coyote sight, maybe a delta sight or something like that. But the IWI sight is really good. I really like it. It's very clean, and if you're going to go for iron sights, I think it is probably maybe the best one. At least in my opinion, it might be the best iron sight in the entire game, outside of maybe like sniper iron sights that don't actually go on any other guns, which I really won't be ranking because I'm going off of attachments, not like, you know, default sights. But this is an attachment and a sight, which is really cool. Our second sight that I actually really like is the quick release sight. Now the quick release sight isn't quite as good in my opinion as the IWI, but it's a little bit similar and a little bit different. It's a little bit more obstructive, but it's not as high off of your gun. It's the HK416 irons, which I actually really like. I don't really use them on the HK416, but this is one of the other ones that I actually do find to be pretty good. And a lot of people do like the HK416 iron sights, and they'll run the HK416 iron sights. So if you want to have not the HK416 but still have the irons, it's pretty cool to use these. I actually really like it. The last one is the AAC flip up sight, which is the Honey Badger iron sights. Now the Honey Badger irons are really good. In fact, a lot of the time when I use the Honey Badger, I run the iron sights, and I don't really use the Honey Badger a ton. I have like 600 kills on it though, and quite a few of those kills are with the irons because the iron sights are great. Like, look at them. They're really good. They're not the best long range sight or anything, but if you're going to use an automatic gun, I think this is one of the best options in the entire game, at least for iron sights. Like, definitely. They're probably more popular than the IWI, but I personally like the IWI a little bit more, and that's just because the IWI is just a cool sight. I really like it. Let me just melee this guy really quickly. Come on, bro, don't camp. These are pretty unobstructive, they're really nice looking, and they feel great, and they actually work and look good on a lot of guns, because, like, this is the M16A4, and it honestly looks like this iron sight could be the iron sight on the M16A4. It's pretty interesting, and I really like them. Hey, that guy has a Honey Badger. Do you have the irons on him? Yes, you do. Nice. They really feel great on the Honey Badger itself, as you can see. The Honey Badger is one of the few guns in the entire game that really works extremely well with no attachments because of the iron sights. Like, a lot of guns are really trash simply because you don't have like a Delta, a Z point, any of those sights that a lot of people will run usually. Wow, that guy actually got me. So our first sight for the red dot category is the Z point. Now the Z point, it's not the best sight in the game, but I would say for what it is easily one of the best sights in the game. If not the best sight in the entire game, simply because it's 10 kills. Like, you can pretty much have this on every gun in one singular life, you know? Just get like a 10 kill streak and you have it. It's really easy. In this game alone, I would already have 2 Z points if I was using different guns, which makes it really great. It has a 1.75 times zoom, which is a little bit more than your average reflex or delta sight, and the sight is a tiny bit more obstructive than your average other sight, but I don't feel like it's really that bad. In fact, I'd say this is an underrated sight simply because I feel like, honestly, if it was more kills, people would like it more. I think because it's a 10 kill sight, people are like, oh, it's go to bed, but it's really good, especially considering the kill requirement being so extremely low. Both the EOTech sights are an honorable mention. I don't really use them too much. But then we have the Delta sight. Now the Delta sight is my main sight on a lot of guns, probably around at least like 40% of the autos. It might be like overall the most popular sight on any of my guns. Maybe it's the reflex, but I feel like they're pretty tied. The Delta and the reflex both have a 1.5 times zoom. It's just what you want for the reticle. In fact, I honestly feel like for some reason the reticle helps with higher recoil guns. I don't know why. Sights are extremely opinion based because a lot of them don't actually do anything to your gun. Literally no changes at all except you get a sight. So it's really just about which sight you prefer, not which one is objectively going to be the best. And I just really like the sight. MP510 is a very high recoil gun, but it really doesn't feel that way. Next up, we have the Mars sight, and the Mars sight has become a lot better and a lot more popular recently because it no longer just straight up reduces recoil by a little bit, but it gives you red laser benefits, so better hip fire, better recovery speed, and a lot of nice stuff. But it also now has a 1.5 times zoom instead of a 2 times, and you're like, well, less zoom, not good, right? Well, here's the thing, a 2x zoom on this one was really not that great, and now with the 1.5, it feels really good, and it's very unobstructive now, kind of like a Z-point, and it's high off of your gun, and in my opinion, it looks ugly, but I honestly might switch over to this sight more because it's so good. Shout out to the EOTech and the mini sight. I feel like they're both pretty good, but the Delta sight is less kills, and in my opinion, a lot better. The borders on this one, as you can probably tell, are a lot thicker, which just kind of obstructs your aim a little bit more. The Delta is really unobstructive, and I really like that. Now, the Reflex is extremely popular, and for good reason. It's really great. This and the Coyote are like the best sight for low recoil autos. It's just unobstructive. It doesn't have that much zoom. It looks pretty good. The problems with it are definitely that it's tinted, which is kind of annoying, and yeah, you'll notice that a lot. It doesn't really obstruct your vision that much, but it's just something to be aware of, I guess. The Cobra sight is decent. I think it's definitely worth a mention. Now, the Coyote has a little bit more zoom than a Reflex, and it's also tinted in the same way. However, it has a square bar that's a little bit larger, but the borders of it are a lot thinner. This basically makes it extremely unobstructive. The problem is the 2x zoom. It zooms in a tiny bit more than your average red dot sight, which a lot of people don't really like. In my opinion, it's very good because the low recoil autos, where having higher zoom is actually kind of nice for longer ranges. It's very good for those, and also it's great on DMRs and sniper rifles that you don't want to have a scope on. In fact, literally all of my DMRs I think have the Coyote sight on them, and a lot of my autos also have the Coyote. In my opinion, this is actually the best sight in the game overall because you can run it on basically every gun, a shotgun, a sniper rifle, even the pistols. It's very good on, and that makes it super great, super versatile, and in my opinion, it's just the best overall sight in the game. Now, the next one I really like is the Pilad or the Pilad 3. This is not a great sight on autos. I think it's okay on automatic guns, but what it's really good for is for some reason you always hit headshots with this. I don't know why, but you hit your headshots, so it's really good on a DMR or a sniper rifle. Shout out to the Barsco Electro. Obviously, it's basically just a Coyote sight, but with a different reticle. It does have a different model, but it looks basically the same, but it is a pretty good sight. But then we have the Kosaku sight. Now, the Kosaku sight has kind of fallen off a little bit. I still think it's a really good sight, but I don't really need it as much. It's very good if you want still a sight on your gun, but you want to have basically lower camera recoil. It does not affect your recoil. However, it only has a 1.2x zoom, which means you have, 1.2 times the recoil, because if you're zoomed in by 20%, it makes the recoil feel 20% worse, If you have a 6x zoom on your scope, since you're zoomed in so much, it's going to look like even the most small movements are a ton of recoil when they're not. The OKP is pretty good, and the DDHB Reflex is really good, and I feel like if you wanted to use those, they're pretty good. Then we have the DCL, and I really don't like this sight, but yeah, I can see why people do like it. It only has a 1x zoom, it's very obstructive, and it will make your handling and movement a lot worse. However, it does have a tiny effect on recoil. Not a ton, but it's a 5% rotational recoil decrease, and it's also only got a 1x zoom, so it makes your gun feel like it has no recoil. I just really don't like how sluggish it feels, and I don't use it on literally any gun at all. Like, I don't use it at all. Scopes are a little bit weird, but in my opinion, there's probably two sights that I really think are great for scopes. I guess I should also say that every ACOG is pretty good, but I don't think that they're that great. But the first sight is the Malcolm 3x sight, and you're probably like, why am I using this on the ASVAL? But 3x instead of like 2. So a Coyote only has like 50% less zoom than this, which sounds like a lot, but yeah, it doesn't really zoom in that much. It also doesn't have any shift to steady, so basically you don't gotta like, shift to make the scope sway go away because it literally has none, which is really cool. And because it doesn't zoom in that much, the recoil doesn't even feel that much worse. If you're using a no recoil automatic gun and you want to be able to use it at range, you can really hit some shots with this. And the SVAL, like, I'm not using a low recoil setup. I have no full stock on the gun and it still feels really accurate. This is definitely not the best gun to use this sight on, but you can use it if you wanted to on this gun because it works completely fine. These are all the scopes in the game and I really like a couple of them. The PM2 is okay, and the intervention one, I think it's the Leopold. No, the Leopold is good. That's the M107 one. I think it's the NXS. Yeah, it's the NXS. Those are both pretty good, but they don't work on everything. But the VCOG 8X. Now, the VCOG 8X, this is a great sight. The VCOG 6X is also okay, but if you guys didn't know, the VCOG 6X used to have this reticle, and it's way, way better. I wish you could have a 6X with this reticle because 8X is quite a bit of zoom. Makes it only really good on like sniper rifles, like the intervention, the Hecate, and stuff like that, but it is a great scope in my opinion. I really, really like this scope. It's like I don't know, it's just so good. It looks good, it feels good, it runs really well on most sniper rifles, and it has a little bit less zoom than your average sniper rifle scope. So if you don't like a 10x zoom and you want to go down to an 8x for a little bit less zoom, this is honestly a really great option. So as far as scopes go, I feel like this is probably one of the best ones in the game. I think a lot of people really like it. I know a lot of people loved the old 6x. I did too, and I'm glad that it came back with the 8x and had the actual good reticle, because 6x reticle, in my opinion, not really the best. I really like this one a lot better. So now we're on to the special sights. I probably don't really gotta talk about these ones too much. The OEG, the Maglite, and the AMT Terminator, they all do about the same thing. I guess I'll talk about the OEG because that's the most interesting one. All of them give you alt aim, which is basically you aim down the side of the gun, kind of. It still counts as aiming, and the OEG basically will project this nice dot in front of you, which will definitely help quite a bit with aiming. However, the AMT Terminator will just have the side aim and will have a laser to help you aim, and the Maglite has nothing, which is really annoying. If you don't have a laser on your gun and you have Maglite, it's a little bit hard to hit stuff. But last up, we have the Plague Insight. Now, the Plague Insight, I made an entire video about how the sight is possibly the best one in the entire game, and I still do hold that opinion, because imagine a DCL, but it doesn't make your handling worse, and it's a scope. That's not the scope I'm talking about. This is the AUG 1 scope. Oh, I'm ranked 211. Basically, the Plague Insight alt aim is like this. As you can see, it feels like there's no recoil. There still is recoil, but since it's only a one-time zoom, it feels like you have absolutely none. It's just a great looking and feeling sight. It's really fun to zoom in with this and then not zoom in at all. And pretty much any gun in the entire game, regardless of the actual accuracy, will look like it has very little recoil, which is really funny. Take even the M231. Like, that doesn't feel like it has that much recoil to it, you know? It will help with camera recoil, and it will help you actually see what you're shooting at. In fact, on the M231, it's kind of insane because you know exactly where your shots are landing and you get an accurate sight picture. It's tinted in a very weird way, which is annoying. It would be cool if you could change it and make that go away, but like, I feel like that would be a little bit broken, so it's nice that that is there. But please actually subscribe if you're new. I have a lot of videos for the new players of this game. Comment your favorite sight down below, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.